And I give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Madam President, we welcome your participation in our meeting in your capacity as President of the Council. We are grateful to the Special Envoy for the Great Lakes region, Mr. Huang Xia, to the Assistant Secretary Martha Pope, and the Executive Secretary of the International Conference on the Great Lakes region, Mr. Joao Cajola. We thank them for the views they expressed. We also would like to welcome and greet the representatives of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Angola, Burundi, Rwanda, and Uganda. We appreciate the fact that the Kenyan presidency convened the debate on the issue of the Great Lakes region. Our view is that the discussion today will enable us to exchange our views and also define common denominators and guidelines for our future efforts aimed at stabilizing the situations in this important region. A determining influence on the region is continued being exerted by the situation in the east of the DRC Congo, which remains quite challenging. We have witnessed a stabilization in Tanganyika and Kasai, but there is also an acute issue having to do with security in the provinces of Ituri and northern Kivu, where the United Democratic Forces continue being active, as well as other armed groups. There is still the goal, the objective, or making the mineral extraction more orderly, because otherwise smuggling is something that benefits the illegal armed groups. We are convinced that using exclusively military means, using that, it will be impossible to make sure that there is lasting normalization in DRC Congo. We follow very closely the efforts made by the authorities to restore control over the security sphere, on improving the humanitarian situation, socioeconomic development, resolving border disputes with neighbors, resolving intercommunal conflicts, implementing the disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration of former combatants. Against the background of all of these issues in the area of security and also a difficult humanitarian situation for the people, taking also into account the COVID-19 factor here, we also note the heightened diplomacy conducted by the states of the region so as to build good neighborly relations. We welcome this determination of theirs to develop cooperation so as to overcome the challenges arising, including doing this through collective formats. This applies to the interaction, to the pooling their efforts so as to combat armed groups, strengthening borders, and also developing of trade relations. We know the numerous contacts at various levels between the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, and Tanzania. And we do think that the fact that the president of DRC Congo, Mr. Tshisekedi, will preside over the African Union in the current year will attract additional attention to the GLR issue. We appreciate the role played by the ICGLR under Angola presidency. Finally, in the list of good initiatives is the agreeing on steps so as to implement the roadmaps on stabilizing CAR, which was at the basis of a decision made by the president of CAR to declare a ceasefire. Madam President, all of the achievements that I've just listed have one factor in common. Namely, all of the initiatives which help stabilize the situation, all of these initiatives are only viable when they are developed and agreed by the direct participants and are supported at the regional level. And this is also in line with the principle that we share, namely that African solutions are to be brought to African problems. We are firmly convinced that this is a necessary precondition, a guarantee of success, and shows once again how nefarious it is when ready-made formulas are being imposed, when national initiatives and sovereignties are being suppressed, and when there are open attempts to interfere from outside. It is our view that the role of the international community and the Security Council consists in supporting the regional actors' initiatives. In this regard, we welcome the work conducted by the Special Envoy of the Secretary General in this area. It is our view that what is necessary is that all countries need to implement the peace, security, and cooperation framework for the DRC and the region. We are convinced that the UN strategy for peace consolidation, conflict prevention, and conflict resolution will give a new impetus to the collective efforts deployed by the regional actors. We also note that the action plan under this strategy has now begun being implemented. We support the good offices by Mr. Juan Xia as he tries to promote dialogue, strengthen trust, and normalize relations amongst countries in the region, and his in-depth, comprehensive approach to the root causes of the crisis situations. In conclusion, we'd like to reiterate that Russia also, in its capacity as a member of the group of friends of the GLR, intends to continue in future extending its support to the peace process in DRC and to the stabilization of the region as a whole. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for her statement.